Black Maid found secret door in mansion. What she discovered behind it changed everything. The sound of babies crying pierced the silence of the Whitmore mansion at 3 in the morning. Grace Thompson, 28, a maid, froze in the middle of the second-floor hallway, mop still in hand. It wasn't one cry. It was three. 3 babies crying at the same time, in desperate harmony. She had only been working in that house for 2 months, but she knew one thing for sure: there shouldn't be any babies there. The Whitmores had no children. Grace dropped the mop and pressed her ear against the wall of the east hallway. The cries were coming from inside the walls. Impossible. But there they were, 3 babies crying from hunger, discomfort, despair. Grace worked the night shift, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., cleaning the property while Jonathan Whitmore, 45, CEO of Whitmore Industries, supposedly slept. She knew every inch of that mansion. But that wall, there had never been a door there. Just expensive wallpaper with a floral pattern. Grace ran to the supply closet, grabbed a flashlight, and returned, examining every detail. That's when she saw it, an almost invisible frame in the corner, disguised by the wallpaper pattern. A small electronic lock that required a numeric code. The cries continued. High-pitched. Urgent. Small babies, probably newborns. Shoo, SHH, Grace whispered against the wall, her maternal instinct kicking in. The cries subsided slightly, as if the babies could hear her. Before she could do anything else, she heard heavy footsteps downstairs. Jonathan Whitmore was awake. Grace quickly grabbed the mop and pretended to clean the hallway, her heart pounding against her ribs. Grace. Jonathan's voice echoed from the stairs. Are you okay? I heard a noise. Yes, Mr. Whitmore. Just cleaning. Jonathan appeared at the top of the stairs. Expensive suit even at 3 in the morning, perfectly combed gray hair, cold blue eyes studying her with calculating intensity. Do you usually clean this hallway so early? I changed my routine. I hope it's not a problem. He watched her for a long moment. Behind the wall, the babies had stopped crying, a sudden unnatural silence that was even more disturbing. It's no problem, Jonathan said finally. But perhaps it would be best to focus on the lower floors for now. This hallway can wait until tomorrow. It wasn't a suggestion. It was an order. Of course, Mr. Whitmore. He turned to leave, then paused. Grace, you're new here. So let me be clear, some parts of this house are private. Very private. Old mansions make strange noises. Plumbing. Wind. The mind can play tricks late at night. I understand perfectly. Good. See you tomorrow night. Jonathan descended the stairs. Grace waited until she heard the office door close before returning to the wall. She pressed her ear against it again. Absolute silence. As if the babies had been, what? Sedated? Gagged? Grace went downstairs, her mind racing. She needed answers. And she knew exactly where to look. Jonathan's office was unlocked, the arrogance of a man who didn't fear his maids. Grace went in, photographing everything with her cell phone. Documents. Photos on the wall. Drawers. That's when she found the envelope hidden at the bottom of the side drawer, under a pile of contracts. Inside, 3 birth certificates. Zain Al-Farah, born March 15, 2025, Chicago. Malik Al-Farah, born March 15, 2025, Chicago. Idris Al-Farah, born March 15, 2025, Chicago. Grace looked at the date. March 15th. 8 months ago. 8-month-old triplets. Children of someone named Al-Farah. Grace grabbed her cell phone and searched for Al-Farah triplets Chicago. The result took her breath away. Triplets of Arab billionaire disappear from hospital hours after birth. Rashid Al-Farah, 44, CEO of Al-Farah Enterprises, offers $20 million for information. FBI investigates kidnapping. The photo showed an Arab man in a dark suit, his face contorted with pain, holding an ultrasound photo of the 3 babies. Grace continued reading, her hands shaking. Al-Farah's wife, Nadia, 35, died during emergency delivery. Triplets disappeared from nursery 5 hours later. Security cameras show system failure. Investigation suggests professional work. Another article, more recent, 8 months later, Arab billionaire still searching for missing children. I will never stop looking, Al-Farah declares. Reward increased to $30 million. Grace clicked on more articles. She stopped at one with a photo of a charity event. Al-Farah's partner pledges support in the search. Jonathan Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Industries and longtime business partner, said, "Rashid is like a brother to me. I will do everything I can to bring his children back." Grace's blood ran cold. Partner. Jonathan Whitmore was Rashid Al-Farah's business partner. She found a corporate article, Al-Farah Enterprises and Whitmore Industries announce billion-dollar merger. Rashid Al-Farah will hold 60% of the shares in the new company. 60%. Majority control. Another article, from weeks after the disappearance, Al-Farah-Whitmore merger cancelled after tragedy. Rashid Al-Farah withdraws from public business to focus on search for children. Grace connected the dots with frightening clarity. Jonathan would lose billions with the merger. Rashid would have control. But without his heirs, devastated by the loss of his wife and children, Rashid stepped away from the business. Jonathan kidnapped his own partner's babies. Grace heard footsteps returning. She quickly photographed the certificates, put everything back, and left the office. "Did you find what you were looking for?" Jonathan was in the hallway, coffee cup in hand, smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Whitmore. I was just looking for a place to store the cleaning supplies." "In my private office." He took a step forward. "Grace, you have a daughter, don't you?" "Mia, 6 years old. Beautiful girl. I saw her when you brought the documents on your first day." It was a direct threat. "Mia is fine. Thank you for asking." "I'm glad. You know, accidents happen. Especially with small children. Cars lose their brakes. People disappear." He took a sip of coffee. "But I'm sure you're a smart woman. You know when to keep your mouth shut." "I know exactly when to keep my mouth shut." "Excellent. Now go home. It's almost dawn. And Grace? Don't go back to the east second floor. There are structural problems in that wing. Dangerous." Grace gathered her things with trembling hands. By the time she reached her car, she could barely breathe. 3 8-month-old babies. Children of a desperate Arab billionaire. Trapped by Jonathan Whitmore, the man who pretended to be a friend while destroying Rashid's life. Grace didn't go home. She went straight to the public library, which opened at 6. She had 5 hours until her next shift. 5 hours to figure out how to save 3 babies without her daughter paying the price. Because men like Jonathan didn't hesitate to eliminate witnesses. And Grace had just become the only person besides him who knew where the Al-Farah triplets were. The question was, how to tell a desperate father that his children were alive without alerting the kidnapper? And more importantly, how to get them out of there before Jonathan decided that 3 8-month-old babies were too much evidence to keep alive. If you're enjoying this story of courage, danger, and justice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to find out how a maid stood up to a corrupt billionaire to return 3 babies to the father who never stopped looking for them. In the library, Grace sat down at the public computer, her fingers flying over the keyboard. 5 hours. That was all she had before returning to the Whitmore mansion. She downloaded all the photos to a flash drive, then sent copies to 3 different email addresses. If something happened to her, the evidence wouldn't die with her. Grace searched for everything she could find on Rashid Al-Farah, CEO of Al-Farah Enterprises, 44 years old, a Syrian immigrant who built a renewable energy empire. Married to Nadia Al-Farah, who died during the birth of their triplets on March 15, 2025. 8 months ago. Grace found a recent interview in the Chicago Tribune. Every day without my children is a slow death. Nadia died giving birth to them. I can't accept that they're gone too. She continued her research. She found a forum for mothers about the case. One had posted 2 weeks ago, "Does anyone else find it strange that Jonathan Whitmore was the last to see the babies in the nursery? And the cameras malfunctioned during that exact time." Another replied, "What about the cancelled merger? Whitmore lost billions when Rashid pulled out of the deal." Speculation without evidence. But Grace had the evidence now. She called a number she hadn't dialed in years. "Aunt Beverly? It's me, Grace. Grace. My girl. How are you?" Beverly Harris, 52, had been a social worker in Chicago for 25 years. If anyone knew how to navigate the system, it was her. "Aunt Bev, I need help. Something big. Information about the Al-Farah triplets case. And I need to know how to contact Rashid directly." Silence. "Grace, what the hell have you gotten yourself into?" "Something that could save 3 lives. But if I tell you now, you'll want to call the police. And if we call them the wrong way, those children will die." "You found them. Aunt Bev. Stay there. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Beverly arrived with a briefcase under her arm. They sat in a secluded corner. "This is all I could get without raising any flags," Beverly whispered. "Police reports, timeline, list of suspects." Grace leafed through it. Jonathan Whitmore was questioned 3 times. Lawyers got him out in less than an hour. Solid alibi. "Of course he did," Grace murmured. "He hired someone." Beverly pointed to another document. "Rashid offered $20 million, but there's an undisclosed clause. He only pays if the babies come back alive and the person responsible is identified. He wants justice." And here, Rashid hired a private investigator 6 months ago. Thomas Chun, ex-FBI. Grace took note. "How do we contact Rashid directly?" "He lives on an isolated estate in Lake Forest. But he doesn't receive visitors. You'd need to prove you have real information." The birth certificates had exact times. Zain was born at 3:42 a.m. Malik at 3:47 a.m. Idris at 3:51 a.m. Beverly's eyes widened. That information was never made public. Only the family would know. "So if I mention it, Rashid will know it's real." Beverly leafed through the folder. "Here. Rashid mentioned that Nadia chose the names based on their meanings. Zain means beauty, Malik king, Idris interpreter. She wanted beauty, leadership, and wisdom." Grace wrote everything down. That's when her cell phone rang. Private number. Grace Thompson. A cold male voice. "Who is this?" "Someone who works for Mr. Whitmore. He noticed you didn't go straight home." Grace's blood ran cold. "I just stopped by the library. Mia's books." "I see. Your next shift starts at 10 p.m. Don't be late." The call ended. Beverly grabbed Grace's arm. "He's watching you." "I know. I need to act fast. Tonight." "What are you going to do?" "Something risky." Grace looked at her aunt. "If anything happens, this flash drive has evidence. Give it to Rashid. And take care of Mia." "Grace. Promise me." Beverly held her niece's hands. "I promise. But you come back alive. Mia needs her mother." Grace hugged her aunt and left. 14 hours until the next shift. 14 hours to save 3 babies. Grace picked up Mia, hugged her extra tight, made coffee, and took her to school. Every moment seemed precious. Then she did something risky. She drove to Lake Forest, to Rashid's estate. Imposing gate, cameras, security guards. Grace stopped, got out, and looked at the camera. She held up a piece of paper. I know where Zayn Malik and Idris are. Born 342, 347, 351. They are alive. Guards came out. Ma'am, you need to leave. I just need to talk to Rashid. 5 minutes. Ma'am, people show up every week. Beauty king and interpreter, Grace interrupted. Nadia chose the names based on those meanings. The guard froze. He spoke into his radio. 3 minutes later, an Arab man in a dark suit ran through the gate. Rashid Al-Farah, red eyes, gray beard. Who are you? How do you know about the names? My name is Grace Thompson. I work as a maid for Jonathan Whitmore. Rashid turned pale. And I heard 3 babies crying inside the walls of his mansion last night. Rashid staggered. The guard caught him. You're saying? Your children are alive. Locked in a secret room. And I have less than 12 hours to get them out before Jonathan realizes I know. Grace showed him the photos of the birth certificates. Rashid fell to his knees, sobbing violently. My children are alive. Yes. But not for long if we don't act. Grace helped him up. Jonathan can't know. He threatened me. He threatened my daughter. He'll kill them to destroy the evidence, Rashid added, wiping away tears. That monster pretended to be my friend. We need a plan. Tonight. I'm back on shift at 10 p.m. It's my only chance. How? I don't know yet. But we'll figure it out. Together. Because sometimes justice requires strategy, unlikely allies, and the determination of a mother who understands what it means to almost lose a child. And Grace was about to prove that underestimating a black maid who protected children was the last mistake Jonathan Whitmore would ever make. 10 p.m. Grace arrived at the Whitmore mansion with her heart racing. Jonathan was waiting for her at the entrance, a cold smile on his face. Punctual as always, Grace. Yes, sir. Good. Today, just focus on the first floor. I have an important meeting. Understood. But Grace knew the truth. Rashid was on his way with Thomas Chun, the private investigator, and the FBI team. The plan: Grace would open the door while Rashid distracted Jonathan at the entrance. At 11:30 p.m., Grace went up to the second floor. She approached the wall. Zayn? Malik? Idris? She whispered. Faint cries answered her. Grace examined the electronic lock. 4 digits. She tried 1503, March 15th. Nothing. She tried 0342, Zayn's birth. Red light. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Jonathan. Grace. What are you doing here? She turned. Jonathan at the top of the stairs, face contorted, gun in his pocket. I was cleaning. Liar. I saw the cameras. I saw you in Lake Forest today. At Rashid's property. Grace froze. So you know, she said firmly despite her terror. You know I told him. And now you're going to die for it. Jonathan took out his gun. Just like those babies. The doorbell rang. Insistently. Multiple times. Jonathan hesitated. Don't move. He went downstairs, gun still pointed. Grace heard the door open. Where are my children? Rashid's voice echoed. I know they're here. Rashid? What are you talking about? Don't lie. Grace Thompson told me everything. Confusion downstairs. Grace tried another code. 0347 Malik. Nothing. 0351 Idris. Red light. Tears of frustration. There had to be something. Nadia. The wife. Grace remembered. Nadia died at 4:15 a.m. after the last birth. 0415. Green light. Click. The door opened. Small, cold room, 3 cribs. And there they were, Zayn, Malik, and Idris. 8 months old, wet faces, dirty clothes, but alive. My God, Grace whispered. She picked up Zayn, then Malik and Idris, one in each arm. Downstairs, screams continued. Sounds of fighting. Grace staggered downstairs. In the living room, Rashid and Jonathan were fighting. A gun lay on the floor. Rashid. Grace screamed. They both turned. Rashid saw the 3 babies and the world stopped. My children, he whispered, his voice breaking. My babies. Jonathan saw it all end. He tried to grab the gun. Rashid was faster, stepping on his hand. You will never touch anything I love again. The door blew open. The FBI came in, guns drawn. FBI. Hands up. Thomas Chun showed his badge. Jonathan Whitmore, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, and attempted murder. Jonathan tried to run. Agents tackled him to the ground and handcuffed him. This is a setup, he shouted. Rashid is making this up. Setup. Chun took out his cell phone. We have a recording of you threatening Grace. We have photos of the certificates in your office. Financial records showing payments to a mercenary. Jonathan turned pale. And we have this. Chun showed him a tablet. Cameras installed by Rashid 6 months ago on adjacent properties. They captured you entering multiple times with formula and diapers. The agents took Jonathan away. He shouted threats. Rashid approached Grace, as if the babies were a mirage. May I? His voice trembled, tears streaming down his face. Grace placed Zayn in his arms. Rashid held his son, sobbing violently. Zayn. My Zayn. Daddy's here. Grace handed him Malik and Idris. Rashid sat on the floor, 3 children in his arms, crying. Nadia, he whispered. They're alive. Our babies. Paramedics arrived. Dehydrated, malnourished, but stable. They need to go to the hospital. I'm going with them, Rashid said. Mr. Al-Farah, an FBI agent approached. We need a statement. Tomorrow. Tonight, I'm staying with my children. He looked at Grace, sitting with the triplets. You saved them. The $30 million. I don't want your money. I just wanted to do the right thing. Then what do you want? Grace thought of Mia. I want you to donate that money to single mothers in Chicago. To women who work 3 jobs and can barely afford rent. Rashid smiled through his tears. I'll do that. And you'll have a job at Al-Farah Enterprises. A decent salary. Hours that allow you to be with your daughter. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You gave me a reason to live again. On her way out, Grace saw Jonathan being put into a police car. He looked at her with hatred. You ruined everything. A maid ruined years of planning. No, Grace corrected calmly. You destroyed yourself when you thought children were tools. When you thought a black maid would be easy to intimidate. She approached the police car. Do you know what your mistake was? Underestimating a mother. Because mothers don't stop. No matter how afraid we are. When we see a child in danger, we become unstoppable. Jonathan had no answer. The police car drove away. Grace looked back. Rashid was putting his 3 children into the ambulance, kissing each one, whispering promises in Arabic. Thomas Chen approached. Grace, you did something extraordinary. I just did what any decent person would do. No. Most would have remained silent out of fear. You chose courage. In the weeks that followed, Chicago exploded. Jonathan Whitmore was charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. The investigation revealed that he planned to kill the babies after Rashid signed new contracts. But the babies survived. And Jonathan lost everything. Because sometimes evil isn't defeated by powerful heroes. It's defeated by maids who refuse to ignore babies' cries. By mothers who understand that protecting children is instinct. And by men like Rashid who never stop searching, even when the world tells them to give up. 3 months later, Grace was at the Children's Hospital in Chicago, watching Rashid play with the triplets. Zayn, Malik, and Idris, now 11 months old, laughed as their father made exaggerated faces. "They've made up for lost time quickly," Dr. Sandra Williams said, checking their records. "Excellent weight gain. Motor development within expectations. They're survivors." "Like their father," Grace replied, smiling. Rashid approached, Zayn in his arms. "Grace, I have something for you." He handed her an envelope. Inside, a key and a document. "It's the deed to a house. 3 bedrooms, backyard, good school in the neighborhood. For you and Mia." Grace's eyes widened. "Rashid, I can't." "Yes, you can. And you will accept it," he smiled. "Besides, your new position at Alfarah Enterprises starts Monday. Director of Human Resources. 6-figure salary. Flexible hours." "Director? But I don't even have a degree." "You have something better. You have courage, integrity, and the ability to do the right thing when everyone else would do the wrong thing. You can't learn that in college." Tears streamed down Grace's face. "Thank you. For everything." "No. Thank you. You didn't just save my children. You taught me that heroes exist in the most unlikely places." Grace picked up Malik, and the baby immediately grabbed her finger tightly. "How is Jonathan?" Rashid stiffened. "Sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole. Lost all his assets. House, company, bank account. Everything confiscated as restitution." "What about his partners?" 3 were arrested as accomplices. Whitmore Industries was dissolved. The honest employees were relocated to other companies, many to Alfarah Enterprises. Grace nodded. "Complete justice." "There's more," Rashid continued. "I created a foundation in Nadia's name. $20 million for single mothers, especially black women. Education, housing, daycare. Grace, you're going to run it." "Me? You understand this struggle. You've lived it. There's no one better." Weeks later, Grace was at the inauguration ceremony for the Nadia Alfarah Foundation. 50 single mothers received full scholarships, subsidized housing, and daycare support. "My name is Grace Thompson," she said into the microphone, Mia at her side. 3 months ago, I was cleaning mansions for $12 an hour. I worked from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. because it was the only shift that allowed me to be with my daughter during the day." She looked out at the audience. "I heard babies crying behind a wall and had a choice. Ignore it and keep my job, or risk everything to save 3 lives. I chose to take the risk." Applause filled the auditorium. "But I wasn't a hero. I was a mother. Because mothers understand, when a child is in danger, we don't calculate risks. We just act. And today, I'm here to say to every single mom, you are seen. You are valued. And you deserve support." Rashid took the stage with the triplets. "This foundation exists because one woman refused to be intimidated. Because she chose courage when fear would have been easier. Grace Thompson changed my life. And now, she's going to change the lives of thousands." After the event, Grace found Beverly in the parking lot. "I'm so proud of you," her aunt said, hugging her. You turned tragedy into hope. I couldn't have done it without you, Aunt Bev. You were the one who gave me information, connected me with Rashid. I just opened doors. You had the courage to walk through them. That night, in her new home, Grace put Mia to bed. Mommy, those babies you saved, will they remember you? Probably not, sweetie. They were too young. But will you tell them when they grow up? Rashid will tell them. He promised. You're a hero, Mom. Grace kissed her daughter's forehead. No, sweetheart. I'm just a mother who can't ignore a child crying. A year and a half later, Jonathan Whitmore was in prison when he received an unexpected visitor. Rashid Al-Farah. What do you want? Jonathan growled. To see the man who tried to destroy me. Rashid sat down. My sons will be 3 next month. Zayn loves dinosaurs. Malik loves books. Idris is obsessed with airplanes. Why are you telling me this? So you know what you've lost. You had everything, wealth, respect, partnership with me. But greed destroyed you. And you know what's ironic? Grace Thompson, the maid you threatened, now runs a billion-dollar foundation. Her daughter goes to private school. She has everything you lost. Jonathan didn't respond. And I have my children, Rashid continued. Every night, I put them to bed knowing they are safe. Thanks to a woman you underestimated because she was black, because she was poor, because she was just a maid. Rashid stood up. Your biggest mistake wasn't betraying me. It was thinking that people like Grace are weak. When in fact, they are the strongest there are. Jonathan watched Rashid leave, realizing too late that he had lost everything to the woman he considered insignificant. Because in the end, this wasn't a story about a rich billionaire or a powerful villain. It was about a maid who heard babies crying and refused to ignore them. About a mother who understood that protecting children is not a choice, it's a calling. It was about Grace Thompson, 28, a black woman who proved that courage has no color, no social class, no diploma. Courage is seeing injustice and taking action, even when everyone says you can't win. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They wear maid uniforms and carry mops. Sometimes victory doesn't come from physical strength, but from refusing to remain silent when children need a voice. And sometimes a woman whom the world considers invisible becomes impossible to ignore, because she dared to do what no one else did, choose what was right instead of what was easy. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that courage can come from the most unexpected places, subscribe to the channel and share it so that more people can discover that heroism is not about power, it's about choosing to protect the defenseless, no matter the cost. Comment on a time when you or someone you know showed extraordinary courage. Your story may inspire someone today.